What is up, my fell-handed finessers? It is I, Senior Fell-handed. Today, we are in the Fubuki, Tier 5 Japanese destroyer. This is probably top 5, top 10 favorite ships. Really enjoy this. You don't necessarily... It kind of performs on the same lines as the Akatsuki or the Kagero, but you don't necessarily have... say for example, that level of competition, i.e. radar. It seems like every Tier 7 lobby there's at least 3 or 4 cruisers that have radar. So, I kind of like playing the lower stuff because you kind of get away from that, but at the same time, you don't necessarily have the challenge, the different ships. I don't know. Tier 7 is normally the cream of the crop, but ever since World of Tanks, I've kind of liked to play everything in addition to 7. But anyway, at any rate, moving on here. As you can see here, folks, we have a 3-cap situation. Now, the fish on this particular vessel are 10 kilometer, which is astounding for Tier 5. I mean, you can really get out there and smack somebody silly with these fish. The guns, however, on this particular vessel are lackluster, to say the very, very least. It, doesn't necessarily have the firepower that your American, your U.S. destroyers are going to have, but it does have amazing, amazing torps, and a lot of ships don't get these kind of torps until later in the game, or possibly not ever. American DDs don't even get 10-click range torps. They get 9.2 max, and for the British, it's a max of 8 kilometers. So, you can really get out here and make it happen with the torps, and they're faster. They can really get out there and go, and faster kind of means, a little bit more brief time to target, which means there's a greater chance of you hitting, a less chance of them turning away, as it were. Okay, so moving on here, we're putting some rounds on this gentleman here. We're posted up in the smoke. We have nothing better to do. We might as well shoot. We were waiting on a reload there. But we're kind of just, we don't have anything else going on. They're turning. And guys, when you're in a DD, whenever you see somebody turn like that, don't even bother trying to track them with torps unless they're just extremely, extremely close. Because what's going to happen is, it's going to show they're going to be 22 plus clicks out. So don't even bother with that, because it's just kind of, it's a fool's errand, so to speak. As you can see there, to my 9 o'clock, we have somebody else kind of sharing the smoke with us. That's fine. But we don't mind. We don't necessarily have the smoke that the Americans have, but we definitely have longer than the British. It's a nice medium, if you will. Still putting some rounds on this gentleman. Not really out of the smoke yet, and that's fine. Once we get out of the smoke, we may hold fire. Or we may not. Either way. But the point is that, you want to kind of, be cautious about it. You don't necessarily want to draw tons and tons of fire, but at the same time, if there's a finite number of ships looking at you, they're otherwise engaged, they're going different places, yeah, you could do it, because, if you're not firing a whole lot, it may take less time for you to re-disappear, so to speak. Anyway, moving on. As you can see here, we're still putting some rounds downrange here, kind of using the little peninsula of that island as cover, and that's fine. As far as the teams go up on top, we've lost 1 each. Not necessarily thrilled about that, and we've lost 2 now. It's not a good look as far as the team goes to start losing stuff this early in the game, but you know what? It happens. You go around an island, you get in a wrong section of the map, and you get absolutely obliterated. Happens to the best of us, you know what I mean? As far as me personally, 9,152 damage. Not exactly beating down the walls of the Hall of Fame there, but you know what? We're giving it a shot. We're trying to line up some torps here as we speak. We don't necessarily want to start firing as we're in the open. We've got a couple of one-shots out here. The red team kind of caught up with us there. We're 2v2 right now as far as ships down, so that is a 7v7 match. Trying to decide here what kind of spread I want to throw at this gentleman here. He's got 9 fish going at him. Hopefully, something is going to connect. We're going to go ahead and peel off here now that we dropped the kids off at the pool. and then we're going to bring her about and get ready to line up another shot on someone else. And that, my folks, is how we DD. As you can see here, though, we don't really have a whole lot of action going on right now. We're just kind of, it's a waiting game. We're waiting to see what happens with the torps there. I cast a wide net, which is something I don't normally do. I normally throw really tight patterns, just to be on the safe side. But at the same time, if you've got somebody out there who's a finesser, it may behoove one to kind of throw, either a wide net or just randomly throw them everywhere. Kind of, a lot of times, guys, you'll see when I'm 1v1ing another DD, is I'll throw one on target and I'll throw one completely opposite that. A good 90 degrees, literally, almost as far as I can go within the sweeping arc there of the ship. And normally it'll be the other one that'll catch him, because the DD guy will be like, oh, well, he threw torps, I'm going to change direction. Well, I got torps going that way too. And it kind of works out for me in the past. Okay, so back to the top of the board there. We are 4 down, and the red team are 2 down. Not a good position. That's a 5v7. And, early in the game, it's not that big of an issue, but later in the game, when, when certain ships engage multiple ships and you can get a lot of fire on one target, you can focus people down, it becomes a game changer, a force multiplier, if you will. So it's not just as simple as, okay, well, we're 2 ships past, we're 2 ships down, 2 ships in the hole, essentially. So it looks like on paper like it's better than it is, let's put it that way. Okay, so anyway, moving on. Still posted up in the smoke here. Not a whole lot going on. Trying to put some rounds on target just to see what's going on here. Just to see if we can't possibly connect with somebody. Just taking stock of the situation here, as it were. A gentleman out here. A lot of fighter planes. A lot of spy planes in the air here, which means anybody in this zone is just going to dance around my torps. They're going to see them a good ways before they're there. So, and that's the thing, folks. If you see somebody, if a battleship or what have you throws a spotter plane, if you fire torps, there's a good chance they're going to dodge them, simply for the fact that the spotter plane is going to tell them well in advance of your torps. And the planes seem to be, like they're up there, considerably longer than, say, your sonar, your hydroacoustic, what have you. The hydroacoustic does last a while on some ships, and some it does not, and it's always varied range. You're going to see your British stuff is going to last a lot longer than the American. I think the Icarus maybe is 180 seconds versus the Pensacola's 90. So big difference. It's worth checking into it, even if you're not necessarily a fan of, say, for example, whatever ship has given hydroacoustic, what have you. It's definitely worth checking it out. Okay, so moving on. We threw a bunch of fish at this gentleman here. We're turning off. He is putting on his brown pants. He has a flotilla of fish. Looks like none of them are going to connect. He is turning. Either I fired wrong or he just finessed the crap out of me. Either way. And guys, it happens. You can't get discouraged. It can't all be Shakespeare. You can't go out there and throw fish and expect every single one to hit, or every 1 out of every 4 to hit. Some days it's just not going to happen, and some days you can do no wrong. You just kind of have to get in that mindset of, you have to be a fortune teller in order to be really, really consistent with the fish, because the operator of the battleship, cruiser, what have you, may just really, really, really have his head on a swivel and know when torps are inbound. That's why I always say you want to focus somebody with torps when they're engaged, when they're not looking, when they're focused on fighting somebody at a distance. I'm not going to do it. Fighting somebody at a distance, and that way you can kind of put some rounds on them. Now, granted, that being said, you don't necessarily want to fire torps at someone who perhaps is angling up or angling away or what have you from a given enemy. And the reason I'm saying that is that too may make you miss. just simply because they're trying to get their hull right because they're being pooped on by, X number of ships from a given location. So there's a lot involved in this game. It's easy to learn. It's difficult to master. It's not as simple as just loading in and doing well. You've got to work at it. And that's the thing. That's what we're doing. We're trying our best here. We're 11,000 damage, and it is late in the game, and we should have way more than 11,000 damage. But you know what? That's the thing. It's not always going to be like that. It's not always going to be amazing, and that's kind of what we have to deal with. This is, however, the perfect time in order to torp some folks, because what happens is, in the late game / end game, a lot of your battleships are going to be alone. They're not going to have any support, and as we all know, a battleship without support is a little screwed. They're in a little bit of a trouble there, so something to think about. And that's kind of what we're going to try to take advantage of, is, the gentleman without any support, what have you, the folks just wandering out there by themselves. And if you can get rid of their, DD coverage, their cruiser coverage, man, you are in business. You can go to town on them. There's nothing they can do. And here's the thing. I've been in the position, and you can throw torps at them, and they might dodge some, but they're not going to dodge them all. You just keep throwing torps. You throw enough poop against the wall, eventually some of it is going to stick. And that's kind of what you have to do on somebody who really has their head on a swivel. Now, granted, if it's mid-game, you're not really going to get the opportunity to throw torp after torp after torp at him. And I died. Let's see what these last remaining fish do, because I've got a feeling that they are going to be semi-okay. Thank God we are hitting at least some fish. Kablamo. From beyond the grave. We managed to take that guy out. 90% of my battle plan comes from after I am dead. Alrighty, folks, we're going to skip right ahead here. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it doesn't go well for us. We managed to pick up quite a bit of damage there after we died. Probably the last, negative 25 seconds of our life. 42,546. 188,000 damage. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, hit that notification button, and stop by the stream Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, and say hello. See you next time.